everybody doing?
I'm good.
It's nice to see so many people out here. I really did not expect it. I didn't really plan anything, so I guess it's going to mostly just be a Q&A. Is there anything that anybody would like to ask? Hello? Either one.
If you were to do DidYouKnowGaming for the Tales of series, would you do it for the whole series or just one game in particular?
That's actually a really good question. So we have quite a few people commenting continuously non-stop about making Tales of episodes. I think to begin with, I would probably the way in which we make our videos is that we'll begin to research something and try to work out how much is there to actually say about something. So take Tales of, there's a ton of games. There's a lot to do with like Tales of Symphonia, tons of information. Games like, I can't remember, was it Tales of Zestiria?
Zestiria.
Yeah, my pronunciation is going to be way off, and I apologize for that already. I think it's kind of a notorious thing with our channel. But there's going to be tons of stuff to do with Symphonia, right? But not so much with the later games. So what we would do is try to work out, could we do a single episode on each individual game, or would it be better for the fans to kind of combine everything into one? If we were going to cover Tales of, I would probably pick kind of the fan favorites, because why not, really? More people would enjoy it. But at the same time, there's actually some Japanese exclusive ones. So we do a show called Region Lock, and we would probably cover them on that first, see what the sort of interest is, and then go from there. Next.
So what did it take to be a speaker on one of the episodes?
Generally speaking, what we'll do is we'll kind of plan an episode, begin to research, write it, and then we'll try and look for people who know about the series or whatever it is we're covering. Normally, we will talk to them and we'll go, here's the script, did we make any mistakes? Because sometimes we do. And if they know it better than we do, we'll sort of bring them on to do voiceover. We try to look for popular people within it, but we also do take people email us a lot to try and do voiceovers. And we're always happy to receive those emails. Don't get me wrong, I read every single message. I can't reply to them all because there's like 100 every week. But I mean, it's normally just kind of popularity within that series or niche, and we'll try and find somebody who is known for it.
What's the hardest part when it comes to research?
It depends on what it is we're covering. Some stuff, it's like we have to try and find magazines that were released in the 80s, and that's not easy. There's obviously scans on the internet, but not for everything. So I find the hardest part is trying to source things and make sure that things are true, because there's a lot of stuff on the internet which is just not true at all. And I think that it's like really trying to find the base point where people began to talk about it. You know, like, why did this piece of trivia come up? Where did it kind of originate from? So we have to kind of deep delve into things, and that can really be a massive pain. But yeah, it's mostly magazine stuff, because I don't own all of these magazines. There's a ton, right? You have fun?
What's your favorite type of pizza?
Favorite type of pizza? That's a good question. I like it simple, you know? Like, I'm a meat eater, but I'll probably just go with like a basic pepperoni. I'm a Papa J's man as well. It's all about the garlic butter. I think we can all agree that garlic butter is the only thing you actually need when you order Papa John's. You in the back?
How was your day?
How was my day? Very tiring. So there was a party last night for the first day. Stayed out a little bit later than I thought I would. It was about 3 o'clock in the morning when I went to bed, and I got about 4 hours sleep, so tiring. It was fun, man. It was good. But yeah, no, it's a good day. I enjoy like walking around. It's great because none of you guys knew what I looked like. So I basically just managed to like hang out with Caddy and his family over here. Hands up, Caddy. Yeah, so it was a good day. It was a good day. I didn't buy anything, but it was a good day. You
I was wondering, what made you decide Mega Man to be like the icon of the channel, and why aren't there many videos of him possibly?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. It was basically, we really liked the font from the titles. And so that's why the DidYouKnowGaming is, obviously, we basically just took the Mega Man font. And then we went, well, what do we do for an icon? You can't really condense it. So we just took the sprite and put it there. And it stuck. We never changed it because people now just recognize it as what we do. In terms of covering Mega Man, I'm going to be honest. Well, actually, it's kind of a lie. I never played the classic Mega Man games when I was a kid. I enjoy them now, but I don't really kind of associate it as being the creme de la creme. Mega Man X, though, is the bomb. Mega Man Battle Network is also fantastic.
Yay!
So if I was ever going to like try to cover Mega Man again, I would want it to be like just the sort of Mega Man X, Mega Man Zero, or Battle Network individually. And I don't know, man. Like, I probably should, you know?
I'm the exact opposite. I've only played the classics.
Oh, really? You should play the other ones, man. Mega Man X is just better, basically. It's not as hard as well, that's the thing. And I know that's like, oh, well, you know, you've got to be a hardcore gamer. Just have fun, you know, boosting around.
What? Who's your favorite guest?
Who's my favorite guest? Ooh.
Because I know you've had Eager Raptor and he's just friggin' amazing.
Yeah, I love Aaron. I actually met him for the first time in Japan, randomly. We were both happened to be invited to see Hideo Kojima, or Hideo Kojima apparently, but the pronunciation is always wrong. And we met up in Tokyo to play Ground Zeroes, which was, you know, great and kind of disappointing. But it was like a really weird experience because we went to, like, they had a natural sauna thing in the basement of the hotel, which Konami owned this hotel. There's a lot of stuff about Konami you guys probably don't realize, but they had like a hotel just for going to hang out in like this random village that no one's heard of. They also like owned a theme park there, which was closed. So I don't really get it. They own like a health club in Japan. It's crazy stuff. But sorry, the guest question. I don't know. They're all great. I'm gonna say Jim because he's right there.
Yes, I was lying.
But in all honesty, actually, Aaron is fantastic, and he's actually recommended some people to do voiceovers for us because he obviously has his connections.
If you ever do something deeper with Fallout, I would check out Miniature Nerd.
Who's that?
Miniature Nerd.
Okay, I will
He's
do.
done probably at least 10 run-throughs of Fallout and Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 3 and Fallout 4, and he's done a lot of stuff with Fallout.
I will do.
He's amazing.
If you can write that down and just like process it.
definitely.
Cool. So I can get.
He's from your neck of the woods. He's from
Oh,
Britain.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
Oh,
Well,
he's awesome.
I'm terrible at remembering names, so just give me a little note. You go.
Are you a fan of the DidYouKnowGaming Twitter account?
I love it, man. All of those parodies are fantastic. I don't know how they come up with some of the stuff because it's just like, just absolute bollocks, you know? Like, I have a hard time sometimes because it's like, the fake trivia people put out there, sometimes you never know. And when you see one of those parody ones, they sometimes get it so close to being ridiculous enough that it would be true. And especially DidYouKnowGaming. Back in the day, actually, it's funny. So I do DidYouKnowGaming with a guy called Shane, who recently moved over to the States. And his brother actually made one of the parody accounts that became really popular when we first started, and no one realized. And it's just like, we basically owned the market of both the actual DidYouKnowGaming and the fake DidYouKnowGaming. You're back in yellow.
Where did the ideas for the more oddball ones come along, like SpongeBob and Simpsons Hit and Run, like that stuff? Like how are those?
So, The Simpsons Hit and Run was basically because we love The Simpsons, you know, can't deny it. I think it's, generally speaking, we try to see what people are talking about, so memes, you know? Like, everyone loved SpongeBob for a while as a meme, so we went, well, let's take a look at the games and actually do it properly, you know, not just make some fluff. Because people are genuinely interested, and it's kind of fascinating when you cover the odd stuff, because you begin to realize the fan communities behind things which you would just think.
Oh yeah, SpongeBob games have a huge fan community.
Yeah, right? I had no idea. I played the one, I can't remember, it was like Battle with Bikinis Bottom. Yeah, that game is amazing. But I never went, oh yeah, as soon as we hit it big on YouTube, we're gonna cover that.
How
How do you know who to collaborate with and who not to collaborate with?
That's a good question. Sometimes it's very difficult. We obviously try to not really involve our own personal take on people. It's generally speaking, they know something, so we get them on, you know? There's a few people who we kind of shy away from every now and then, and we've obviously had people on who people don't necessarily agree with in certain forms. I think we'll avoid that one. But, you know, personally, I don't really have much of a, I don't know how to put it, but basically, yeah, like I don't hold resentment with people when they have an opinion that I don't agree with. I don't think that makes sense. We all have different opinions on a lot of things. I will just basically look for the person that I think would suit it best, you know, and I don't really try to go, well, I don't really think that they're suitable for the audience or whatever else. I just think, well, they know what they're talking about. They're going to do a good voiceover for it, and they've got a good voice. Those are the important things.
What made you want you and whoever else is involved to start
Okay, so basically, DidYouKnowGaming Extra was because I had just recently moved out of the city I lived in to my hometown. And I moved into the house where my best friend from when I was born grew up in. And I realized that he didn't have a job. So this is Greg. I don't know if you guys know Greg. He does voiceovers every now and then. He also writes and yeah, exactly. He's a cool guy. I love him. I've known him since he was born, for the record. So I was kind of biased and just went, hey Greg, do you want to do a thing with DidYouKnowGaming? Let's do like an extra thing. And thus it was born. We also kind of felt like we can cover certain big games, you know, series like Mario and Sonic, but you're never gonna go, oh yeah, it's Dante's Inferno, let's cover that. You know, but there's information on it that people are interested in. Because even if you don't care about the game, it's about the trivia, and that trivia is interesting in itself. So we wanted to kind of just cover things that we can't really put in a video, but we think is pretty cool, you know?
That and all its resources.
Yeah, exactly.
I appreciate the added humor.
Yeah, I appreciate you appreciate it, because a lot of people did not. It was difficult because obviously I understand DidYouKnowGaming is obviously very fact-based, and that's kind of how I am as well. I don't really do the whole super opinion stuff. I just like to look at everything as being its own unique thing. And I wanted to make it kind of more fun because I thought it would be stale to do 2 episodes a week that are super fact-based. So with DidYouKnowGaming Extra, we wanted to make it like, we're making it and we're voicing it. So it makes sense for it to be entertaining and have a bit of our personality involved. Just over here.
Is there any game or series that you will not touch?
So Shane said, yeah, there's a few. Personally, I just see, why not, you know? So he said, I think Call of Duty he would never cover. And I get it, you know, Call of Duty, I don't really like it, but there's some really cool information. So we recently got into a lot of, little bit of heat in the office because we covered Fortnite. I'm a PUBG man. So the problem is that people seem to go, well, I don't like Fortnite, so don't talk about Fortnite. And that's fine, but I don't like Fortnite, but I found it really interesting because people forgot all of this stuff that was just out there. And they went, well, it's a battle royale game, and that's it. So you never know what you're going to uncover when you look at a series that is typically not something you're interested in. I don't play FIFA games, and yet the lawsuits involved in that series is crazy. And why not talk about it? Like all of those sports games. I don't play sports games, but the information is still interesting. So I would watch a video about it if I knew that it would be interesting, you know? The red hand.
Okay, so what's your when you're researching and writing an episode, are there specific sources that you use? Is there like a sort of like fact sheet that you have?
So
from off the top of your head.
Yeah, there's some. Hang on a sec, sorry. So we realized when we were doing DidYouKnowGaming and everything else that we needed a lot more trivia than we could really uncover ourselves. So we made a website called VG Facts, where people could contribute trivia to us. We could check the sources, make sure it's all true, approve it, it would go up in a big list. So we do look at that to begin with to see like good basic places to work from. We also look at the cutting room floor, which is a fantastic wiki all to do with like cut content. If you guys have never heard of it, check it out. It is absolutely amazing, and there's some stuff in some games which is nuts.
I think I actually made a contribution there once.
Yeah, I mean it's got a lot of contributors. So I also run a website called the Sprites Resource.
Oh yes, I'm very familiar.
Oh, well, thank you. I've been running that for a very, very long time. Oh, is this a new question, or is this just a...
Do you remember a message board called Pixel Panda?
Of course, I was one of the admins. You a treat?
Yes.
Oh, dude, long time no see.
I just heard that you were going to be here and everything. This is my next one, so it's really cool. I'm like, oh, that's great.
So this is crazy because this is from like 12 years ago, man. I'm pretty sure it was that long ago.
So I've known each other for a long time, but I was named after Pokemon.
Yeah, back when it was like, that was a new Pokemon. Not anymore. But yeah, because I run the Sprites Resource, I know how to like data mine and stuff. So I generally speaking, I just kind of begin on that level with certain subjects because there is cut content in pretty much everything and they leave it in. So I just pick it out and there we go, there's trivia. But yeah, generally speaking, current floor, BT Facts, which has sources in it in itself, and then we can see those sources. And there's a lot of fan sites out there which have information that, you know, there's not like a big database for. So we'll go through those. Over here. Yes.
Usually when you have someone on, like collaborating with another YouTuber or something, how much of the work is yours versus theirs? Like the research?
Pretty much we do most of it. We'll write an entire script. It depends on who it is and what it is we're doing. So with DidYouKnowGaming Extra, when we have guests on there, we've only done I think 2 realistically. But we say, what do you want to talk about? And they will go, I want to talk about this. Here's some trivia to do with it. We'll then research it, write it up. So it's kind of a good mix. With the actual main show, we'll just kind of pick something, write about it, send it over to them, and they'll read it. They might make some minor adjustments. They can obviously, you know, change how something's said to better fit the way in which they talk, because I don't really talk like everybody else sometimes. Something that's really hard to understand is like when you write, you definitely write in your own voice. And when you're British, you say certain things that nobody else says. And that's why we don't just do it off the cuff as well, because they would be swearing throughout the whole you there?
Me? So, Pat's, Gino's, or Tony Luke?
Jim Steak.
Or Jim's is also a good answer.
I would go with Jim.
Yeah.
Big bag.
Local questions. I'm Jim from Philadelphia, local question.
Yeah.
So, what gave you the decision to not just branch the Sprites Resource from not just that, but to models, textures, and sounds as well?
So basically we realized that sprites are not as popular as obviously they were back in the day when it was all you could do. And we sort of realized that we were not really running out of things to rip from, but we knew that we were going into a new generation where it was going to be 3D models is like the only thing, right? So we thought about that first, and then someone basically said, well, we also can rip sound effects. So we went, well, why not? We've got the site coded up and everything. Let's just change the color.
I mean, I am grateful you did the sounds resource.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, after all, I am one big time ripper there.
Oh, really?
You know me. You know that Twister guy you see on the
Oh,
Discord?
yeah.
Yeah, that's me.
Oh, cool, man. Nice to see you.
Yeah, it's nice to meet you.
Something that you guys won't really totally get is that I read like every comment on YouTube. I am involved in like a Discord and everything. I love talking with the community because I think it's super important. And I don't know why, but I remember someone from bloody 12 years ago, you know? And it's because all of these people are important people in my life. I spent a long time being very kind of reclusive and just sitting at a computer because I just like video games and reading about them and working out how they kind of go together.
Well, I did only join the site for like 2 years.
I thought you were still around.
Oh, I joined like since 2016. I meant I am still here.
Yeah.
I've been there since 2016.
Oh, well, I still remember you, man. Like,
yeah.
Even though you're a new member, it's still important to me. Even 2 years ago, I was still very much like, this is my life, you know?
Yeah.
So I appreciate your help.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be a part of it. Oh.
Well, you here?
Would you like $1 US?
Oh, yes, please. I did not bring any money. I'll have a single dollar. I would really appreciate it. Oh, no, I'm not looking for donations right now. I'm not able to buy a single drink. So, I knew that I was going to be doing this like a few weeks ago, and I kind of convinced myself that I was going to be flying out on Friday, and I was flying out on Thursday. So Tuesday, when I found out it was going to be Thursday, kind of that's not a word you guys use. I kind of pooped myself a little bit. And I just immediately ran home and went, I'm not going to go and get money. I don't have time. I'm just going to pray. I've been very, very thankful to Jim. He has been basically funding my entire trip here.
Is this a different Jim, not Jim Steaks Jim?
No. This is Jim Caddick. You?
Are you over at the Did You Know voice acting series that was inspired by Did You Know Gaming?
Yeah, so that's is it Carbon? I
Something like that.
can't pronounce his name, even if I knew it. Like he's a nice dude. I talk to him every now and then. Yeah, I know about it. I like it. You know, I like all the fan-made videos and stuff. Like a lot of people get really angry because it's kind of just ripping off. But I don't see it as ripping off. I think of it as just being, hey, these guys wanted to make an episode, and they made an episode. With like Did You Know voice acting, they wanted to make the same show but for voice acting, and it's pretty good.
It's pretty good as long as they gave you credit, right?
They don't, but I don't want it.
Did you say they were inspired by Did You Know Gaming? So that's pretty good.
Oh, well, yeah, like that's great, and I don't even think that that's that important because realistically, it is its own thing. Did You Know Gaming isn't exactly unique, you know. There's Did You Know Science on Facebook and stuff, like tons of these Did You Know things, and all we do is Did You Know Taco Bell? What a guy. But yeah, I like it. You know, I think that people should be trying to sort of give out this information and topics that people are interested in. Voice acting is one which I wish I knew more about, but I am not very good at remembering voice actors or directors or anything. So I am just like constantly researching and making sure that I've just got their name right. That's the most difficult thing with Japanese names, is getting it right. And because some people put them like surname, first name, some people do a first name, surname, and you've got to work out if they're the same people, because there's some people who have both. So I really appreciate it.
How much relative amount of work goes into each episode, like in terms of researching it, writing the script, recording it, and editing it?
So recording it is actually really quick and easy. It is now, anyway, because we only recently started to actually voice it ourselves every now and then. And the research and writing is obviously the hardest, longest bit. In terms of editing, it takes probably 2-3 days, so we can do it once a week. We have Greg actually edits all of Did You Know Gaming Extra. There's a guy called Lewis who lives in the States. He's a wonderful, wonderful man. He does most of the main show. There's also the Cartoon Gamer. He also helps edit and do voiceovers. So we can do them once a week because we have people who we bring on board to do episodes. So it'll be like 2-3 days for an edit, maybe 4 or 5 days for writing, depending. Every now and then there's something where you're like, you've got to make sure that one thing's right, so don't record it yet. But recording it takes like 30 minutes, which is wonderful, because the booth gets very hot. But when I first started doing the recordings, a 5-minute script would take like 3 hours. And that's why, I don't know if you guys saw the blooper reel that we put out a while back, but there's a lot of swearing, there's a lot of laughing, because it's just us standing around like just having fun while we're doing it, you know? And that's the thing that I love about this job, is that we really enjoy doing it. And that's why I don't even think about how long it takes. We just go in and do it step by step. Yeah.
What is the process for coming up with the subject of a Did You Know Gaming Extra video?
That's a good one. Basically, we find one thing that we go, that's pretty cool, and then we go, how can we link this to other things? And so we'll find like a common theme, like marketing, you know, and then just go with that. Sometimes it's really loose. When we first started, it was really loose. I think we did one that was like, the theme was cookies, which is not a theme. So we did like, here's Yoshi's cookie, and here's a cookie Easter egg. Like they're not even related, but people hated that. So we went, let's try and find like a general, like, I don't know, just a weird theme that's kind of links it. And it's pretty easy, realistically, to actually kind of find a theme and what else could fit in and find interesting trivia relating to it. Even things like, you know, unused content is a very, very broad topic, so we'll try and find things that are somewhat of interest to the same people, you know?
What was your favorite topic to do on
Ooh, that's a good one.
in general? Like, not, like, with extra ends.
I think Extra has been a lot of fun, and that's why, you know, me and Greg voice it continuously, because we genuinely enjoy doing it. With the main one, it can get a bit stale, which I'm sure you guys can appreciate after a while when you've done it for this long. It does get a bit stale. My favorite though, I don't know, there was one that was about lawsuits, and I found that fascinating, because it was like, I don't know, it was failed MMOs. And there was one which was, what was it about? It was like a Stargate MMO, and they basically just embezzled tons of money, and nobody ever picked up on it. So they sold shares, and then just went, well, we'll just make more shares and then sell those, and not tell anyone. And then he just got done for fraud and everything else. Like those kinds of things where it's like the legal system and things that I don't really know about, so I have to learn about it while I'm doing it. Because, you know, I love gaming, but I also like just learning stuff in general. So if I can inform people about how a legal system would work, or, you know, how games are put together, I find that to be more interesting than, you know, Sonic had no color on his shoes in this one sprite or something. It's cool, but it's not like deep information.
Why do you think it's important that the work you do helps make this information, this research more accessible to a wider audience? Where you and VG Facts contributors have dug through the menagerie of stuff out there and put it out for free.
Yeah.
That's very important, but what motivates you and the team to kind of keep that up?
I think because I would have loved to have it when I was younger. When I was playing games, there was no way you could learn about games besides magazines, and that's why we have to now look at magazines, which is a pain in the ass.
Stuff like that can get lost forever.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think that it's keeping it alive, you know? Video is also a really good way of digesting information, because you can just watch it, hear it, and see exactly what they're talking about. Reading about it with a little picture, it doesn't really kind of tell you exactly what you want to know. I think the information should be free. I think YouTube is a great platform for doing that, because you can earn a revenue based on telling people facts, and I think that's great. I think it's important to keep up with everything though, and that's why I watch a lot of documentaries, even about things that are really horrible. I think it's just good to know, you know? Fun again.
As of late, you've been doing episodes on glitches for certain series. What inspired you to actually start those?
Vine Source. We watch his streams a lot, and it was basically because he hates Sonic games. I only found that one out kind of recently. I just watch his streams, and I think it's great. But Vinny in particular, obviously. But I think that it was because Sonic games are notorious for glitches, so we wanted to just kind of delve into that. And now we're trying to sort of look at other things and how glitches aren't just like a little problem that sometimes happens. They're consistent. And I think that's something that people should kind of realize, is that this isn't just a little bug that happens every now and then. It's in the game. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's because people want to know things that they wouldn't just go, I've played the game and I know that. You know, they want to know more about it. And so you're not going to encounter glitches all the time. And so how are you ever supposed to know that they're consistent or what they do? And some of these glitches are crazy. Like there's things where just stuff will come in that's not supposed to be there. There's games that don't work because of glitches completely. Like there's games where the AI just doesn't load in. and then you just fight a boss and it stands there, and that's the whole game. And it's the most anticlimactic thing in the world. So I think glitches are just an interesting topic.
If you want my opinion, I think Sonic Team should take a nice long break from developing Sonic games.
I've not played a Sonic game in a while besides Mania, because that doesn't count. It's a good game.
Just prove my point.
Yeah, exactly. I don't get me wrong. Like, I think Sonic Team are a good team. I think they've made some good stuff in the past. I enjoy the racing games. I think they're really fun. But they're made by Sumo Digital, I believe. I don't know, man. Like, Sonic Team has just been kind of lackluster
They
lately.
just need a break, that's all.
Yeah, but it's difficult because when you have a franchise like that, you got to keep it alive, and that's why those spin-offs, I think, manage to keep it alive more than they actually do.
Yeah.
The team actually made other games back in the day. There was Billy Hatcher, you had Puyo Puyo. These are all great games, but they don't make those games anymore. They just make crap Sonic games, and it's really disappointing.
It is.
Has there ever been a DidYouKnowGaming video that you started from scratch?
Yeah, there's actually a few sort of scrapped scripts. There was one, do you know Plot? Yeah, it's a weird game. No one's heard of it.
Wait,
But
what?
We wrote about it. It was like PLOK. It was a SNES game, or an SNES game. Sorry, everyone gets angry at me when I say SNES.
SNES.
We wrote it. A lot of the information was basically just wrong. So we went, nah, we'll just scrap it, you know. We began to write a regional episode about Puyo Puyo Tetris, and then they announced that it was coming out here, which is the most infuriating thing in the world, because they've done it twice now, because they also did it for Metal Wolf Chaos, and I'm not angry that they're releasing it. I think that's fantastic, but I wrote the script, man. And I spent a long time playing through that game, and don't get me wrong, it's a cool, weird game. It's not a good game. It doesn't play very well, and I had to complete the bastard. But yeah, there's a few. Maybe at some point I'll go back and just be like, here's all of the bits that kind of work or are interesting and put them out there. But you know, it's a lot of effort for like a 2-minute segment that we could do. Maybe it's like a single video could work. I don't know. I might do something with that. I've never really thought about them, to be honest with you, because we do so many videos. When we write write it and then move on straight away. Because we have to do so many videos. So it's difficult to think about the ones that we don't really actually put out there. There's tons of unfinished scripts for DidYouKnowGaming Extra, because we'll go, that's really cool. What else can we talk about? There's nothing that relates to it. So we'll just have those individual pieces of information we think are really interesting, and eventually we'll get to finding other things that will fit in, or fit them into other videos. It's all a bit wibbly wobbly, to be honest with you.
I'd be surprised to know any piece of media that doesn't have unfinished scripts.
Yeah, that's true. Even TV shows, there's tons. Yeah.
I was wondering that I found deep within, I think, a Japanese forum site, a super rare Famicom Disk System ROM of a game starring its mascot, and I found nothing on it on the internet. And
Is that Disco?
It's like Jakun Disccon, and it's a rock, paper, scissors game.
Yeah, so I imagine it's probably a rip-off of Alex Kidd.
It's like a RPG rock, paper, scissors game where you play the Disk System's mascot. And I want to rip it because there's nothing about it even like on wikis.
So this is the thing, is that when we do research, we actually find, like, we'll look into a series or something else. We always find stuff where they just never release the game. There's like, God, there's so many games that are just out in Japan, but they actually plan to have it released out everywhere else. And those ISOs and those ROMs exist. And so we can find them. There's so many unfinished games that we find, which there was one about like a weasel. It was a rip-off of Conker's Bad Fur Day. And he looked like Pooh Weasel out of Food Fight. And I'm eventually going to cover it, but it's one of those things where it's like, it doesn't actually really work, and I have to kind of jerry-rig it to kind of function. But anything like that, like any sort of stuff that you think that we would be genuinely interested in, get in contact with us, because I love just getting all this information, because it's the only way I'm ever going to learn it, you know?
Is it just like the email in your about section?
Yeah.
Because I have no idea how to write
You can email me personally, which is dazz@DidYouKnowGaming.com. Pretty simple.
Okay.
Or you can tweet us. Well, I've done you already. I've done you guys quite a lot. Sorry. Was there a back there? Yeah, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about when the commentators like get a little bit hostile towards the people who comment the videos?
Yeah, so
The YouTube commenters.
yeah, the problem we have is that obviously we don't necessarily pick people who have the best setup. We have a consistent setup. Some people don't. So when we get comments about, you know, I'm going to be honest with you, the YouTube space is pretty toxic towards certain people, like women, which is kind of awful.
It's toxic to everyone.
Yeah, it really is, and it's difficult because we try to pick people that we think will be entertaining or suited. So even the Cartoon Gamer gets a fair few negative comments.
Yeah, that's the main one I was thinking.
Yeah, and
every time he talks a video, it's like nothing but hate comments.
Yeah, and like I get it. You know, you're there for you just want the information. You don't necessarily want it presented in a way that will be entertaining. You know, but at the same time, why are you on YouTube if you're not also trying to be entertained? You know, it's meant to be fun, and so we just want to make it fun. There's a few people I get it. You know, they don't do a very good job or whatever else, but it's their job to do the commentary. We do the edit and everything else. It sometimes gets really annoying when we spend a long time researching something and all of the comments are about how someone pronounced someone's name wrong. And it's one time. Especially, oh my God, region locked whenever we do it because we're British. It's impossible. We can't win. But yeah, it's one of those things. I don't let YouTube comments try and bring me down all too much. Obviously, everyone knows you get a million positive comments and one negative one. You ignore the million positive ones and read that one over and over and over again. It always sticks in your mind. But at the same time, I appreciate like all of the love that we get. You know, it is amazing. So I read every single comment because I think it's important to connect with your audience, and I always have. That's why I think this prize resource always has a good community behind it. I think that's why DidYouKnowGaming has continued to grow and become better in terms of actually having good information that is true. Every now and then in the old ones there was stuff which we kind of just went, we kind of know this, but when people would tell us we're wrong, we can then learn more, you know? And it's fine to admit when you're wrong, I think. Especially when you're doing fact-based stuff, because if you can't admit it's wrong, then you're just lying. Yes?
Yeah, about Region Lock. Are there any games that you ever cover on Region Lock where you think, if they translate this one, if they send it overseas, it would have been a huge hit?
There's a few. I think LSD's Dream Simulator would have been a big hit. Only because it's like an art piece instead of an actual game. And I think that sort of American audiences, they don't really go for the whole anime stuff so much, but the sort of really wacky out there stuff like Katamari Damacy, people love it, right? So things like that I think would work. I'm trying to think if there's a few that I thought would be really popular. There's some that had plans, like little sneak peek. We're going to be doing Police North soon, and it's a good game. It's not an amazing game, and I don't think it would have actually been very successful because it would have been on the Saturn, and nobody owned a Saturn. And if they did, they didn't buy games for it. They just played Sonic Jam, which is understandable. There's a few. Normally though, I kind of pick out the really wacky stuff. There was a game called Kuna Uta on the PS2, which is about polar bears singing songs in like really just like weird stuff, like washing machines flying around behind them while they're in suits singing. It's really weird, and I think that would have been successful just because it's really fucking weird, man.
So this is sort of a comment and a question. The comment is, so I use an ad blocker on my browser and I never see ads on YouTube. And I was really happy when you announced the Patreon because it would be a good way for me to help support you guys.
Oh, thank you. I presume you contribute.
Yeah,
Oh,
I do contribute, yes. And I also really loved the end of the DidYouKnowGaming extras where you read all of the Patreon names. So my question is, how's the Patreon been working out for you guys from your perspective?
It's not been a massive hit, but I think that's because those little end slate bits, people love them, and we can't say every single Patreon name, something we've learned very, very badly. We basically had to work our way where we can make more people contribute so that we can get more people on and everything else. We love doing those segments, but they are stressful because a video goes out every Wednesday. we have to do that at the last minute because we never know if someone else is going to join the Patreon, and we feel like it would be unfair to kind of go, well, you got in late, so you don't get to go in. I think Patreon is a fantastic platform. I don't really like ads on YouTube. I don't think anybody realistically does, but it pays the bills. Gotta eat.
It makes you Google
I've got
AdSense.
$2, which is fantastic.
Eat at
But,
gyms.
What's that?
You gotta eat at gyms.
I've got to go to gyms, I know. But yeah, I think Patreon is a great system. It's worked well for us. It's not been, massively successful, but we've only been doing it a little while, and I just find it fun. I don't want to really get rid of it because I enjoy doing those little end bits.
When it comes to like covering games and everything, have there been any games that you looked at, you thought they'd be really cool to cover, but you couldn't find anything on them, or like the stuff that you found you may not have been able to actually cover in a video?
Yeah, so region lock, that happens a hell of a lot. There's games where you're like, this is cool, that's it. There's nothing really deep or meaningful behind it. It's just a weird game, and that's all you can say. With DidYouKnowGaming, there's a few games I would love to cover, but at the same time, you've got to find games that are somewhat popular. I personally am a huge fan of an RPG series on the PlayStation 1, which I'm going to butcher the name of right now. I call it Suikoden. Everybody else calls it Suikoden or something. I don't know how you pronounce it. I think it's a bomb. Nobody else has played it. Everyone raves about the second one, and yet it's one of the most rare PlayStation games out there. But we'll never cover it because no one knows about it. Why cover a game which, maybe 60,000 people are going to watch it when we can cover a game which 400,000 people are going to watch it? Not from a monetary point of view, that doesn't really matter to me, but it's what the fans want. I'll go to games like Mario games. I like Mario games, but I don't play all of them. I'm not really a massive Nintendo nerd. I'm more of a Sega boy, kinda. Not anymore. But I don't know. There's a lot of games that there's not that much to it besides a good game, and that's fine with me. But with DidYouKnowGaming, I don't want to delve into it and then have nothing of actual value to say about it. I can tell you about an unused piece of content in it, and that's it. It's not long enough. It's not really worth the time. Yes.
Yeah, I have two questions. Number one, besides Region Lock that you started punching, what other shows are on YouTube that are done by the DidYouKnowGaming staff?
That's a good question. So I think Lewis does a few bits of editing for other people. Greg actually had a review series which did not kick off very much, so that's why he went on to do DidYouKnowGaming instead. If you can find them, you'll never find them because it's called Greg Reviews. Such an original name. But they were like humor reviews, and I thought they were great, but they just didn't kick off because kicking off on YouTube is not as easy as making good content. Anyone can make good content realistically in their eyes, but it's about everybody else, Yeah, and it's like even though we made DidYouKnowGaming and it's a very successful channel, we don't really know how it became so big. It's because we started off and people started watching it. We didn't really do anything. And so I don't know how to make a successful YouTube channel. We got one,
If my memory is correct, you had Matt Pat from Game Theory do an episode, and do you have any other affiliations with Game Theory?
We do Digital Movies with him on the Film Theorists channel, which, I personally haven't really done much. I think I've done a few voiceovers for it, but I've not really contributed to that all too much. We're thinking about maybe doing some more with it, because people like movies, I like movies, and we were thinking about doing Digital Movies extra, but we'll see. Who knows? I'm already doing all too much. Yeah.
I was gonna say, besides the way we pronounce things and some of the words we use, was there anything surprising you found about the
States?
The States gaming kind of community when you came over here?
You guys are very, very nice. It's not really shocking, to be fair. You're generally pretty nice on the internet as well. It's pretty big. Like, for us at home, there's Comic-Con. That's it. And that's fine. Realistically, we're a small country, and it makes sense that we'll just condense it, But over here, you guys are crazy into it, and I think that's amazing. For me personally, the thing with YouTube and DidYouKnowGaming is that it's not just gaming for me. I think that it's easy to kind of bottle it down into that one topic, but the idea of actually talking to people, meeting people who actually know what the hell I'm talking about most of the time is really difficult. So when I come here and it's like, here's a room full of people who watch our stuff, it's kind of daunting, to be honest. Like, this isn't normal. I think it's fantastic. And the main thing is just that there's a lot of you. And I think that's an amazing thing, you know? And that we're all passionate about it. To the point where some of us fly from the UK to be here, to be around passionate people, you know, and it's worth it.
Glad to have you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
I'm gonna do another one in a lifetime offer. Would you like an American?
Oh, really? Would you be willing to give that to me? Oh man, that's so kind of you. Thank you. This guy's bomb, by the way. So, one thing that I think is very difficult to really kind of portray on YouTube and sort of in general is that we're normal dudes. You know, we sit at home, we sit at a computer, we type, we talk, that's it. So people being really, really generous and nice to us in person, you don't expect it, you know? I know people are nice in general, but I was quite a reclusive person for a long time. To find people who are genuinely really, really nice within the community it's a very, very interesting thing when it's face to face. You get nice comments, that's only one element of it, and you don't get to see how nice people really are. And I think that's something that everybody should kind of realize. When you get nice comments on the internet, they're from nice people, you know? So, thank you. That really does actually mean a hell of a lot to me. So.
Well, I know a while ago you guys updated some of the old videos like Zelda, and you renamed the old videos as old.
Yeah.
Any particular reason or any rhyme or reason why you updated?
There's some information which is outdated, or you know, we find out more stuff which basically says that some of the stuff we did is wrong. We don't want to get rid of the old ones because there's still stuff in there that is obviously true and is good, but we kind of don't want to just leave stuff when it's not really true anymore. We've been doing this for a long time, so a video from 6 years ago, some of that information is going to be outdated, you know, and YouTube doesn't allow you to update videos, which I think is a silly thing. I think that there should be, I think back in the day you could. I think you could have an updated video and it would keep the old one and just have one over the top. And you could do like responses and stuff. YouTube has changed, man. I really miss the old YouTube. But I don't know. I think that keeping the information fresh, people still love Banjo-Kazooie. Why not just keep the same information and update it and make it all correct? Yes.
What's your favorite Mega Man Battle Network game, and what's your favorite NetHack?
So Mega Man Battle Network 1 was the best, and I can't remember his goddamn name. The electric dude. Is it just Elect Man? Yeah, I don't know why, but I always thought the character, like the duo of them was always really interesting. I loved the first game so much, I can't even say that the rest are any better because I played it religiously. It was the only Game Boy Advance game I owned for about 4 years. And I got really angry because there's a bit where you can save it, where you've got a time limit and you can't complete it if you save it when you don't have enough time. And it's about 40 hours into the bloody game. So they made a mistake with that game, but it's the best one, and it's the best game ever made. Yes.
Have you had a video that's gone up that was a production nightmare?
There's a few. Lewis edited this Fortnite video. I've got this on the mind right now. He's not very good at the game, which is understandable because it's a multiplayer online game with people who actually play the thing. So when he was trying to capture footage for it, oh man, you've got to get bits where you look semi-good at the game, especially because you're a channel about video games. You've got to know how to play video games. But one that was actually a pain in the ass recently was the Bioshock thing we did in DidYouKnowGaming Extra, because we had to get about 30 hours into the game and then trigger a glitch that they might have removed. And we didn't know if they did or not. So they did. So we believed everything that everyone said, and then it was like, man, we just wasted 30 hours. Oh wait, they did remove it, but not from this version. So then we had to play that version for 30 hours to find out if it was true, and it wasn't. So that, oh man, playing games like 60 hours for nothing, you know, that's pain. I'm trying to think of other ones. There's a ton actually where we've had to find out if something's true or not, and it's always in a deep RPG or something where I'm just going skip, and then it's not true.
You get all the footage yourself, or is there any points where it's like...
Sometimes we'll use footage from other people who will give them credit for it, which sometimes we get angry about. I'm not really sure why. I don't care if people take our footage, you know, but I run a resource that I don't ever want credit for any of it, you know. It's how I've always worked, and so I find it really difficult when people are like, well, you've used 2 seconds of my video in your 7-minute video, I should be earning all of the revenue from it. You know, it's just a bit weird. But yeah, every now and then we'll take a clip or something else. But any generic gameplay footage, we'll try and record ourselves because we can. You know. Yes.
The process of doing videos out of water. Are those more stressful or different?
So they're definitely different because obviously with games you know definitely what it is you're going to be talking about. With a person, they're a little bit more complicated in a video game. There's more to them. It's difficult to really portray the person. You know, you can say what they did, but that doesn't tell you who they are. And I think that we try to pick people who are influential within the industry and demonstrate why they're influential. And doing that is hard. Particularly because you've got to pick out moments in their life which are standout moments. And it's like, if anyone tried to do that for me, I don't know what they would talk about. You know, so imagine doing that for someone that everyone talks about. Everyone is interested in one aspect of this person, and you've got to try and find all of the bits that are genuinely true and interesting. There's a lot of information about people which is not true. People like to lie about people they don't like, surprisingly, and they'll say things that make them look bad. And we don't want to say that's true because we don't know. So when we can't interview the person, we have to just really make sure that we're not saying something that is gonna sort of invoke a certain response from people or make them see that person in a certain way when that's not who they are. So I find those ones to be very stressful because it's not just, oh, well, I don't like that game now. It's, I don't like this person. And they have emotions and feelings, and if you make people go against them, that's not good, you know. Or see them as a positive person when maybe they're not. We don't know. It's a difficult one. That's why we don't really do them all too often. We did obviously after quite, I think it was a year after he died, which was obviously that was a very, very sad time for all of us. I'm sure we all agree. Yeah, absolutely. With Gabe and Todd Howard, it was more just fun because we love their games and we wanted to show why they're amazing people, what they did that got them to where they are, so other people could be inspired by them. Because I think that's the more important thing with people is the inspiring stories rather than the funny little anecdotes, you know. Is there anything else? Yes.
Have you ever thought about opening up to the community for like more facts or like to help them on the videos?
Sorry, I missed the first bit of that.
Like, have you ever thought about like opening up to the community to like help with videos?
Well, this is it. So we do have a website called vgfacts.com where people can contribute stuff, and it's a great community behind it. But we're also happy to just send us a tweet. You know, I read all the tweets. I can't respond to everything, which is kind of sad, but after a while you realise that, God, I do actually need to live a bit of a life myself every now and then. It's like, don't get me wrong, I love doing DidYouKnowGaming, it's fantastic, but you got to make sure that you stay grounded because it's not everything. But at the same time, just send it to us. I'm always happy to hear it. Yes?
When you were first starting DidYouKnowGaming, was there a specific video you wanted to do that you eventually did get out? Really
So
excited to do?
this is the thing, is that there's a lot of stuff that I would love to cover which I don't think would be very popular. I personally, I grew up with the PlayStation and the PlayStation 2 and all of that sort of stuff, but everybody loves Nintendo. So we talk a lot about Nintendo. I had an SNES and an NES and everything, but we knew that we had to start with the things that people would be genuinely like really interested in. A lot of people would be interested in. So we did Mario, we did Zelda, we did Pokemon. I love Pokemon, don't get me wrong, but after a while it gets a bit grating. I think the one that I always wanted to do was Final Fantasy VII specifically, because it's a very good RPG, even if some people don't like it. I don't know why they don't like it, it's bomb. So I do want to do a Final Fantasy VII video specifically, but I think I'll probably try and get that sort of arranged around the release of the remake. If that happens. I'm pretty sure it's coming, but you know, I'll see you guys in 2025. 5 more minutes, cool. Any last minute questions? This guy here.
Me?
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you're not a big Nintendo fan, you're more of like a Sony and Sega, but I know you said you did Pokemon in the past. I know the whole Pokemon Gold beta came out. There's probably a ton of
there's a lot.
and honor facts about that. Would be interested in covering that.
Yeah, so we do want to cover it, but we sort of felt like it would be kind of unfair to the guys at the cutting room floor and the guys who actually got it out there to go, oh, you did all of that work, this really hard to find thing. Cool, we'll make a really popular video about it, just take all of it from you. No one will know you ever did it. No one can say that they did it, but are you actually going to go to their site? Like, people just don't really. And I think that's kind of sad. So we don't want to steal the glory of the people who actually did the work, realistically. You know, we will talk about it eventually, I'm sure, once it's kind of a little bit old news. But yeah, like I love Pokemon games, I love Nintendo, don't get me wrong. They are amazing. The Switch is one of the best consoles out there. It's just that I grew up with other consoles. Yes.
An actual question this time. If and ever you make the Final Fantasy VII video, you should definitely like get Vinny Vine's sausage.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I would love to. I've recently started actually talking to him properly, so we're trying to come up with something to do together. So maybe soon then. Yes. Sorry. Mega Man Legends 2. Absolutely. I was talking about this game yesterday quite extensively to Jim, who's behind you, and I said that it's the best Mega Man game. I know that it's a little janky, I know it's got terrible voice acting, but it's great, and I love the 100 question quiz. I don't care. It's great, and everyone should play it.
Yeah, how's Petey?
Oh, how's Petey? He's good. He's recently got his own house and everything, and he's doing very well.
Sweet. Does he join you in any of your videos?
No, he actually doesn't really do much for DidYouKnowGaming. He mostly does like server stuff and sprite research stuff.
Oh, right.
I think that's it. Is there anybody else? Otherwise, I think we're wrapping up. Sorry, yes.
When did you trade in the bucket hat for that one? I just noticed you now.
When did I trade in the bucket hat? When I realized the bucket hats aren't that cool. I also had the goddamn trilby for a while. I think this is a little bit more socially acceptable. It's also quite good because while I don't get recognized very easily, in my hometown of Norwich, I did quite a few lectures and stuff about, you know, how to make content for video games besides video games through a game design course. And they are relentless at just kind of stopping me and asking me questions. They don't, like, they know obviously I wear a hat, but they can't see my face, and they're not going to stop everybody who's wearing a hat, you know? So it's good at kind of covering up who I am. And surprisingly, I don't know, no one knows what I look like, and there's a reason for that. But I think that's it. So, thank you all so much. This means a ton to me.